Hey everyone, it's Detonation here again. Today I'm going to show you an interesting technique I found recently with Adobe Photoshop. So, with the recent releases, there's a lot of good tools for selecting in different colors, and it's actually very fast. This took me about 10 minutes to do and make the video, so it's quite fast. So what this involves is transferring any sort of writing from one paper to another with Adobe Photoshop. So far I've used binder paper, but I've used also more complex pieces of paper in which there's a lot more complex acts that you need to do to transfer the writing. But today I'm going to show you the basics with a piece of binder paper, a highlighter, a pen, and a pencil being transferred to another piece of binder paper. So what I'm doing here is I'm using an inkjet printer, which you'll need. You will need a scanner, you'll need paper, and of course you need Adobe Photoshop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the color range. So it's a tool. I'm using Adobe Photoshop Cs5, and I'm not sure if CS4 has it, but I think it does. So use this color range and you change the settings so you isolate the text you want to select. In this case I'm selecting a blue piece of highlighter which I wrote on the paper. This binder paper that I have inside Photoshop is scanned. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I've selected the highlighter and I am going to copy it. So then I make a new document with the same dimensions as the old paper and I paste it in. As you can see, it's pretty basic, and it's just the highlighter which looks just like the one on the paper on the new document. So now I'm going to show you the pen, which is quite more complicated, but it's still quite easy and quite fast. So again, you have to change the settings accordingly. Just change it around, use the different masks to play around with it. It takes a while depending on what type of pen or ink you have or what type of writing it is, of course. So keep playing around with it until you find out exactly the right color. So here it's not working. So I start up again. I select the area. I select the color range. Now I have a closer selection. So now I change the values around until I find a selection which suits me. So here I am just playing around with the options because I have not done this with pen on this type of paper. So for every different type of paper there's different types of settings you can use. So look here, now I've gotten some progress. I have the text highlighted and I hit OK. So now I have the text selected. It is the same thing. I've copied it and I've pasted it in. As you can see, there's a little bit of a hue of a binder paper. I'm not sure if you can see in the video, but it's slightly there, and you can clean it up later with the eraser tool quite easily. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select another text. So what you see in here, I selected the other one a bit too, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to deselect it. Now I select that color. I just simply click on it and change the options. As soon as the other text is gone, I check it with different settings and I hit copy. So with all these settings, I've verified that the text is going to copy properly, and there it is. I changed it a little bit more just to make sure, and I have copied the red highlighter. So right now it's copied the inverse, so I simply select inverse and hit copy. There you go. Now what we're going to do is print it. So you go back to your document. I'm just moving some things around so it centers because I'm going to be using a piece of binder paper which is smaller than the standard 8.5 by 11. So now I've gone to print, which I've apparently gotten the wrong printer. As you can see, I've opened the wrong document and I'm printing the wrong one. So I realized that, and I just first thing to change the setting. Make sure all the settings are right, because you ideally want to use a high ink setting, a high quality setting, so it looks as real as possible, because we're trying to transfer writing here for fun. Not that we're trying to do anything malicious, right? So I'm just looking around for settings. Just wanted to see if there's a new binder paper option, but for this one I can't find it. So I'm going to go back and select high print quality and hit OK. So now I've had the wrong printer paper selected, so I just cancel it, and then I will cancel it, and I'll open the next document which I was supposed to print and hit print. Now as you can see, the Photoshop manages colors. When it comes up it's kind of blue, so if I print it, whole paper will be tinted blue. So check my settings and change it back to printer, so now it's white, and then I hit print. Checking again and print. Right, so I've had the text in the wrong place, so I'm just going to move it back. Okay, just hit OK and it'll start printing. Something else open here, so I'm just going to close that. And right now it's printing, so in a while the printer is going to come out of the paper, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video how it turns out in an image I took with the camera. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. There's quite a few uses for it. A lot of them are just for joking and pranking and making things seem as they are not, and it's quite an interesting trick. It looks pretty real when you see the picture. It works best on highlighters, but it can work just as well on blue pen. Bright colors are the best. Dark colors work as well, but the contrast on them and thus the darkness when you actually write with the pen is different than writing the ink going on a piece of paper, and it'll look quite fake if it's a dark black pen, because you just won't have that bleeding and the thing of the ink, how it bleeds on the paper, and it just doesn't do that with inkjet because it's just flat and a light coating, whereas the pen is a dark coating. So here you go. Here's the picture and how it looks. The colors are a bit off because I've used dark binder paper instead of standard paper, and you can experiment with it. It's just quite interesting to do. So thank you for watching.